32 U.S. nuclear warheads are still missing. Some are at the bottom of the ocean, some vanished after military accidents, and some may still be active today. They're called broken arrows, the Pentagon's chilling term for lost nuclear weapons. And while the U.S. government downplays the risk, history tells a different story. Savannah, Georgia, 1958. It's a cold winter night, and a B-47 bomber is conducting a routine training exercise off the Georgia coast. A nearby F-86 fighter jet doesn't see it in time. The two planes collide mid-air, and the B-47 is crippled. On board, a Mark 15 hydrogen bomb, one of the most powerful weapons of its time. The pilot has a choice: try to land the plane with the bomb still attached, or drop it into the ocean to save the crew. He chooses the latter. The bomb plunges into the dark waters off Tybee Island. The military launches an urgent search, but after weeks of scouring the seabed, they find nothing. They assure the public there's no danger, but they never recover the bomb. To this day, it may still be lying beneath the waves, its nuclear core potentially intact. For decades, conspiracy theories have swirled about the Tybee Bomb. Some believe it was secretly recovered. Others fear the weapon could still pose an environmental disaster if disturbed. But the official word remains the same: it is lost. November 1965. The USS Ticonderoga is patrolling near Japan during the height of the Cold War. On deck, a young Navy pilot prepares for a routine training flight in his A-4 Skyhawk fighter jet. The ocean stretches endlessly around them, a steel-gray void. As the deck crew makes final checks, something goes terribly wrong. The jet, carrying a live nuclear bomb, suddenly rolls backward. The crew barely has time to react before the aircraft slips off the edge of the flight deck and disappears into the churning sea below. Panic erupts. The Navy scrambles rescue teams, but the plane and its deadly payload sink thousands of feet below the ocean's surface. The pilot is never found. The nuclear bomb is lost forever. For 25 years, the U.S. keeps the accident a secret. The Japanese government, whose waters may still hold this bomb, only learns of the incident decades later. To this day, no one knows the exact location of the lost Skyhawk. Some experts fear that shifting currents may have carried the bomb far from where it originally sank. Others warn that an earthquake or seismic disturbance could one day bring it closer to the surface. With deep-sea mining and exploration on the rise, could one of these expeditions accidentally uncover the missing nuclear bomb? If they did, would the U.S. admit responsibility? Or would they cover it up once again, just as they did in 1965? January 1968. A U.S. Air Force B-52 Stratofortress bomber is flying a routine patrol near Thule Air Base in Greenland. On board are 4 hydrogen bombs. It's part of a Cold War strategy, keeping nuclear-armed bombers in the air, ready for a retaliatory strike at a moment's notice. Then, disaster. A fire breaks out in the cabin. The crew struggles to control the plane, but it's hopeless. They bail out into the icy Arctic night, parachuting down as the aircraft plunges toward the frozen landscape below. The crash triggers a nuclear emergency. 3 of the bombs are found, damaged but accounted for. But the 4th? Lost in the ice. The U.S. military conducts an exhaustive search, but it never turns up. Some believe the bomb sank into the frigid depths, buried under ice and snow. In 2008, scientists studying the Arctic ice detected unusual radiation levels near Thule. Could it be from the missing bomb, or was it from earlier nuclear tests? The Pentagon remains silent. With global warming causing Arctic ice to melt at an accelerating rate, what happens if the missing bomb is exposed? Could it contaminate the environment? And why has the U.S. never publicly addressed these risks? For decades, many of these missing warheads have been in areas where rival nations, criminal organizations, or rogue elements could access them. The Arctic, once frozen and impenetrable, has become a contested region with Russian and Chinese military presence growing year after year. If the missing Thule warhead resurfaces, would it fall into the hands of these foreign powers before the U.S. could recover it? But let's take this even further. Could Russia have recovered a U.S. nuke? Russia has long been obsessed with nuclear parity and superiority. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union deployed elite deep-sea recovery teams to locate and salvage sensitive U.S. military technology. Their navy operates some of the most advanced deep-diving submarines, including the now infamous Losharik, a deep-sea sub capable of diving thousands of meters to the ocean floor. If the U.S. has lost warheads in the Mediterranean, near Japan, and in the Arctic, Is it possible that Russian recovery teams have already located and retrieved them? We know for a fact that the Soviet Union ran operations to recover lost nuclear material. In 1974, the CIA launched Project Azorian, a secret attempt to retrieve a sunken Soviet submarine, the K-129, which was carrying nuclear missiles. If the US was willing to spend hundreds of millions recovering a Soviet nuke from the ocean floor, doesn't it stand to reason that Russia would do the same? A recovered American nuclear warhead would have been a massive intelligence coup for the Soviets. They could have reverse-engineered it, analyzed the yield, the trigger mechanisms, and even built replicas to deploy in their own arsenal. Some have speculated that the Soviets, during the height of the Cold War, might have deliberately searched for missing US warheads as part of their nuclear arms race. And what about China? Could they have a missing US warhead? China, another nuclear power, has also expanded its deep-sea operations. The Chinese Navy now deploys some of the most advanced submarine drones and recovery vessels in the world. They have been actively mapping the ocean floor, not just in Chinese waters but internationally. Here's where it gets interesting. In 2017, the Chinese Navy captured a US underwater drone in the South China Sea. That drone was part of an ocean surveillance program. The Chinese have been developing deep-diving manned submarines, including the Jiaolong, which can dive over 23,000 feet deep enough to potentially recover any lost nuclear warhead. China has been caught stealing military technology through cyber warfare, espionage, and covert operations. If China has found a US warhead, especially one of the older, unaccounted-for hydrogen bombs, would they tell the world? Or would they keep it for study, research, or even use in their own arsenal? Now let's talk about the most terrifying possibility: a nuclear warhead in the hands of a rogue state or terrorist organization. The global black market for nuclear materials is real, and people have already tried to buy and sell enriched uranium. Since the 1990s, there have been multiple documented cases of smuggled nuclear materials intercepted before they could reach dangerous buyers. In 1994, German authorities intercepted a smuggled shipment of weapons-grade plutonium, thought to have originated from a stolen Soviet stockpile. In 2011, authorities in Moldova arrested smugglers trying to sell radioactive cesium, a critical component in a dirty bomb. In 2016, the FBI thwarted an international plot to sell radioactive material to ISIS. If these materials are being bought and sold, what about an entire nuclear warhead? If a US warhead is still sitting at the bottom of the ocean, how long before someone who isn't the US government finds it first? Even if the explosives no longer function, the radiation could still poison the environment or fall into the wrong hands. Plutonium, the core of most nuclear weapons, has a half-life of 24,000 years. That means these bombs, wherever they are, aren't just historical footnotes, they are active threats. And what about those who might be looking for one? The global black market for nuclear materials is real. Intelligence agencies worldwide monitor attempts to buy and sell enriched uranium. What if a missing warhead, buried under ice, lost at sea, or sitting in the wreckage of an aircraft, was found by someone willing to weaponize it? The US government refuses to say. The Pentagon won't admit how many bombs they've truly lost. Some may have been secretly recovered, others may never be found. But as long as these weapons remain missing, the question lingers. What happens if someone finds one of these nukes today? Would the government tell us? Would they recover it in silence, hiding the truth from the public? Or would it become the next international crisis, a relic of Cold War paranoia turned modern-day nightmare? And then there's the most chilling possibility. What if one of these bombs is found, not by a government, but by someone with far more dangerous intentions? The world may never know, but one thing is certain: some of the most dangerous weapons ever created are still out there waiting to be discovered.